the Zoom meeting, then you can watch it in the live streamed version. So we're going to wait for that. And we're going to take your questions. So if you have questions today that you'd like to ask about your genius, please go ahead and put them into the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get to them in just a moment. All right. Really, really appreciate you joining, and I appreciate your questions and appreciate you as a volunteer. So we're going to work on hearing issues today. So if you have an issue with hearing, ringing in your ears, things like that, then we're going to be talking all about that. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Ariel Pollock. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I teach and train people about the genius and have for about the last 10 years. And we're just so happy to continue to see the growth of our genius community and people who want to participate in the world of quantum biofeedback, because I believe that this is a time when we truly, truly need quantum biofeedback in our world. So each and every week we have a free weekly training that you can join, and really anyone can join this training, whether they're a genius owner or not. So everybody is welcome. Maybe they just want to learn more about the genius or about what we do. So you're welcome to drop in, check us out. And we also have a lot of other free trainings throughout the week. In fact, tomorrow, and I don't have this on here, but it's on the events calendar, Benet hosts a natural health mastery or practitioner level introduction. So if you've ever wanted to learn more about the practitioner levels, or you have the practitioner levels and you'd like to know more about what they can do for you, then check out her 8 o'clock Pacific training, 10 o'clock Central training on Tuesday mornings. Then on Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning, we also have our Genius Miracles Hour. So you're invited to join us, and we all collectively, it's almost like a prayer circle. We collectively send our genius frequencies to somebody who is truly in need. We're doing that for somebody who joins us live, but we're also getting people who are remote, people who might be in a hospital or unable to speak, and we're working on them in the background as well. And people in the chat who join us are working on them, and then giving us feedback about what they're noticing, what they're observing, about the progress, any reflection on the case. And so it's going to become very, very powerful, and you can join us. All of these are on our events page. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, you can find it at the events page. You can also use the biofeedbacksuccess.com/miracles, biofeedbacksuccess.com/miracles to get this registration link. So I think it's turning out to be a really fun hour, and Mary Williams joins me for that hour as well. And she has some wonderful emotional underpinnings and intuition that she adds to our discussion of the cases. Then Thursdays at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we stream live our podcast, and we're really featuring the genius practitioners as the first leg of our energy and frequency podcast. We will have other guests. And so if you're a genius practitioner, and especially if you do other things, you'd like to talk about that, we want to talk to you. We want to promote you. So please get in touch with me, Ariel at geniusbiofeedback.com. On Thursday, Melina Hashemi is going to be joining us. She's a graduate of Quantum University, and she's going to tell us all about how she took the genius and used it for a successful gut-based practice. So I think Melina, I don't know if you're joining us here, but her website is gutcanbehappy.com, and that was such a great choice. So she does the energetic food sensitivity testing that we teach in practitioner level 1, and she's managed to make a whole practice out of that, and that was extremely smart. So we'll talk with her all about what she's doing there. Then we have an energy medicine course that begins on May 19th. So Thursday, May 19th, and we're going to talk all about the origins of vibrational medicine and the scientific evidence of energy medicine, studying things like resonance, coherence, entrainment, Rife frequencies. What do all of these mean, and how do they have context for our genius practice? So there's going to be 3 sessions starting on May 19th, and you can sign up for it. This is going to be another one. You can go biofeedbacksuccess.com/energy, biofeedbacksuccess.com/energy, and you can check it out there. So here you go. Here's the link so you can register for it. And I know many of you have already registered for it, and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of aha moments about why the genius is what it is, and a lot that you can tell your family, friends, clients to really understand what we're doing here and why vibrational medicine is one of the fastest growing segments of healing. Just a little note about quantum biofeedback. The Genius is a quantum biofeedback tool. It helps you to learn more about yourself and the world around you, and it works via the principles of energy and frequency. Everything in your body has a frequency, and you can find out if your body could benefit from a supplement. So many things that you can test for with the Genius. You can do home clearing. I think one thing we haven't done in a while that we could do next week, which is how to clear food with the Genius. So let me know if that's an appealing topic. We can actually take an apple and we could test an apple and find out all about different things about the apple, about different types of food, water, and I'll show you how to do food quality testing and clearing. We'll do that next week. So this week, I really want to take your questions. So if you have questions about the Genius, and all right, let's see how everybody's doing. All right, so all right, fantastic. I appreciate your comments, just reading your comments in the chat. I would like to get more questions from you. So if you have questions about the Genius, we do want you to bring in your basic questions. Now, we want to talk a little bit about hearing and how you can use the Genius for different hearing issues. Of course, the top issues are tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears, and of course, loss of hearing over time. So let's just talk about a little bit of the physiology of hearing. Then, if you are working on an issue related to hearing or ringing in your ears, then volunteer for this one and we'll work on you. So make sure you put your date of birth into the chat area. The ear is an incredible instrument in how it works. And as I talk about how it works and you learn any type of physiology, you want to ask yourself, what are those systems that she's talking about? And if she's talking about the nervous system, then maybe I want to run nerve tonifying, or if she's talking about the vessels, maybe I want to do vessel harmonizing. So these are really good things for you when you learn about physiology. Start relating it to different systems that you could harmonize in the Genius. And that's the real benefit. We don't expect you to become a physician, but you're an energetic director. So the more you understand about how the body works, the more you understand about how you can direct the different energies and which energies would be appropriate to direct. So the ear transforms sound vibrations, right, into nerve impulses that are actually conveyed to the brain. And a lot of it is about interpretation. It's amazing how the body is able to do this transmission of sound and then interpret it into meaningful information. And so that requires a functional brain, requires functional nerves, in some ways requires functional vessels, and a few other things that are really important here, including, of course, the anatomy of the ear itself. So the ear is just an amazingly constructed piece of work. And you see those beautiful semicircular canals, and they actually exist in a three-dimensional plane, which is kind of interesting because of how it's also related to our movement and our balance. And we need that sort of 3D perception. So the human ear is most sensitive and most easily detects frequencies between 1 and 4,000 hertz, which is interesting. A lot of people always say with the Genius, I think the sound is going out. Something's happening. And often it's playing frequencies that are just simply not audible to either your perception or perception in general because of the range. Even though the Genius can go all the way to 10,000 hertz, we might not be able to pick up 10,000 hertz. So the entire audible range of sound extends from 20 to 20,000, but not everyone is able to pick those up. A little bit more look at what the anatomy of the ear is. The outer ear, you've got the ear canal, you've got the middle ear with something where the sound sort of strikes against, almost like striking against a hammer. And that's the malleus, incus, and stapes in the middle ear. And then in the inner ear, you have those semicircular canals, and then the cochlea that looks like a little snail. And all of this is going to become important for fluid wave interpretation. And so a lot of the information is picked up in the cochlea as this fluid wave. And then it results in, from the fluid wave, it actually results in a nerve impulse that's sent to the brain for further interpretation. Let's look a little bit more deeply at this. So in order for sound to be transmitted to the central nervous system, central nervous system, the nervous system must be intact. So central nervous system, that is the brain, but we might also want to think about brain anatomy, brain waves, things like that. So the energy of sound goes through three transformations. Air vibrations are converted to the vibrations of the tympanic membrane, right, your eardrum, and the ossicles of the middle ear. That's like the hammer, the incus, the stapes, so we're sort of striking a sound that's going to vibrate. So the sound waves are going to hit that tympanic membrane, and then those three little bones inside the ear, and start sort of a wave as a result of those sounds. So the air vibrations are converted to vibrations of the tympanic membrane and the ossicles of the middle ear. That's the malleus, incus, and stapes. And these in turn become vibrations within the fluid of the cochlea. So now they're not sort of these solid vibrations, they're actually a fluid wave that is in the cochlea, the very inner ear. What we saw before, it looks like that little snail. And then we see that fluid vibrations set up these traveling waves along the basilar membrane, which is within the cochlea. These cells convert the sound vibrations to nerve impulse. So now it's a fluid wave. And now this fluid wave is sending these nerve impulses in the fibers of the cochlear nerve, which transmits them to the brain stem. So a fascinating process of needing to relay these waves and transform the waves, and then the wave ultimately turns into an electrical or nerve impulse. So a lot of things have to be working here. Obviously, the anatomy of the inner ear, but a lot related to vessel health, so the health of the vessels. When you think about hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis, that is related to ultimately hearing issues and the deterioration of the hearing function. And also just healthy brain function is really important, right? These impulses have to be interpreted properly by the brain. They are related to the primary area of the cerebral cortex, part of the brain, which is like the gray matter, the ultimate center of the brain for hearing. Only when the nerve impulses reach this area does the listener become aware of the sound. And so that is so interesting. You know, sound could be occurring, but we have to be able to have the functional, of course, ear and nerve impulses in order for us to even be aware that the sound is there. And then we need to further interpret it to say, oh, that's the chirping of a bird. Oh, that's a sound of a gong. Oh, that's the phone ringing. And so it is quite amazing. But once again, once you know these things, you want to sort of begin to break it down and understand, well, maybe I want to harmonize the anatomy of the ear. Maybe I want to send frequencies to those ossicles, or maybe I want to send frequencies to the cochlear nerve. So these are all things that you want to be thinking about. There's an important cranial nerve, which is the combination of the vestibular nerve and the cochlear nerve, which is the nerve around the cochlea. And these come together in an important cranial nerve called the vestibular cochlear nerve. And this is why sound and dizziness seem to be very related. So when you have vestibulitis, which is when the vestibular nerve, there's something off with the vestibular nerve, you feel very dizzy and like you can't stand up straight. And so often that is confused or connected with hearing as well. You think it's related to hearing, but it's actually related to balance. So hearing and balance become very interrelated because of this connection of the vestibular cochlear nerve. Okay, just some general health strategies for hearing. You probably know, just be very careful not to crank up your headphones, right? Don't listen to music too loud. It's very easy for anyone who went to maybe concerts when they were younger that the decibel level of, I think it's 100 decibels, is known to can harm your hearing permanently, even if it's just one evening of going to a rock concert. So it can deteriorate or damage your hearing. So the ears are obviously very sensitive. Atherosclerosis and nerve damage obviously can affect the hearing. Different viruses can affect the nerve and hearing. So you could look at the immune system as well. In Chinese medicine, they look very much at the kidney meridian and the kidney jing, and a deterioration of the kidney meridian, sort of too much, partying, not, going to sleep on time, things like that. It does deplete the jing energy. And as we deplete the jing energy, it can affect overall hearing. So we can have loss of hearing because of that reason. So some genius strategies for issues with hearing or tinnitus, or we also call it tinnitus, right? In medicine, we tend to say tinnitus. You can use the following. You could use spinal energy as relating to toning up and tonifying the nervous system, although that really isn't as directly, probably want to work mainly on the brain as being related to hearing. Nogier A is specifically connected to the nervous system section, or the part of the body related to hearing, mostly probably related to the brain and nervous system. And then D, G, and L. So Nogier A is specifically related, and you can see this in the Nogier Frequencies Quick Guide, that it opens up the energy of skin, eyes, teeth, ears, spine, wound healing, reduces scar tissue, nerve repair. So Nogier A in particular for hearing, but then also in optimizing the brain, you could work on D, G, and L. Now, you should check all the meridians, but of course, work in particular on the kidney meridian. And in the herbs panel is another great panel to work on with the genius. And we want to focus on adaptogens, which can help to build up that jing energy to help to preserve and protect the kidney meridian and hopefully keep that hearing healthy for a long period of time. So some of the herbs in the herb panel to look at: Bacopa. Bacopa is more related to brain function and opening up circulation, but that can be beneficial. And then holy basil, Hoshu Wu, which is listed in the genus as Foti, rhodiola, Korean ginseng, Siberian ginseng, and shilajit. These are all excellent adaptogens and would be very good for building up that kidney jing energy for keeping the hearing healthy. We also have the hearing series, so hearing assessment. We have hearing assessment with some interpretations from Chinese medicine. We have hearing assessment conditions, hearing solution, and tinnitus harmonizing. So those all come in that healing series pack, and we'll look at some of those today. So let's see if somebody wants to volunteer, and we can also answer any of your questions. So if somebody has a, okay, great, Kathy, perfect. I think you'll be great for this. So volunteering for the hearing demo, Kathy is volunteering. So we're going to see if we can get the genius up here and bring her up here as well. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can pop out of here for a moment. We'll get the genius up here in a moment. We're going to be utilizing the genius with a reflector. So it's a reflector 4, and it allows us to project the information up onto the screen. We'll also get to some of your other questions that you have in just a moment. So thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and make sure I have that information correct. Absolutely going to show the screen in just a moment. And any questions that you have, make sure you put down some of your beginner questions about the genius. There's no question that really is too small to answer, so we'll definitely try to get to it. Something we haven't done as much of in the past few weeks. So just answering maybe your basic questions or even curiosities about the genius, we certainly can do that. So Kathy, we're going to invite you up here in just a moment. So just maybe check your microphone and make sure you're ready to come on screen here. So there we go, Kathy. All right, let's bring you up here. And when you're ready, just go ahead and pop on screen there so we can talk with you. And hopefully we can get the reflector up here. There we go. Okay, so I've got an iPad Pro, which is like a 10.1 inch, I think, iPad Pro, and works pretty well. So Kathy, are you ready to join us up here? Otherwise, we probably need to move on to another volunteer. Hopefully you can join us. So if you do volunteer, always be ready to sort of join us up here. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Kathy, are you there? Hello, hello, Kathy, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Good. Is it all working? Camera?
No, why don't you, I'll ask you to start the video here. There you go.
How about now?
Hi, Kathy, how are you?
Hi, good.
Good, okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your hearing issue.
Well, your timing is incredible. I was about to get methodical, and one of my issues was hearing. It's since about 2 years ago that I'm looking at it. Historically, I used to always have to get my ears cleared out of wax.
Oh, okay.
And 2 years ago, I thought it was time again, and clearing the wax didn't help, or actually there wasn't really much to clear. So I actually went to ear doctor, which I try not to do allopathic things. And she was going to send me for some auditory tests, and I didn't follow through. So I'd love to, solve it some other way like this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go ahead and we'll record your voice. You know how this works.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start recording in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
A-E-I-O-U. 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 A.
Absolutely fantastic. Great. Well done. Okay. And we'll go ahead and get your picture on here. So. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take care of this. And big smile. Kathy, how long have you had your Genius now for?
I played with it for about 2 years, but I bought it a year ago or so, even more. And I only started with libraries in October. So I'm getting into it deeper and deeper.
Good. Have you had success with anything in particular?
I think so. I think it's very subtle. The main thing I'm using it for initially is I have a lot of supplements, which I can't take everything every day. So I loaded them all, and it really, some things come out frequently. So I really use that to decide what supplements to take on any given day.
That's good. Has it helped you to sort of slim things down and get more of a focus?
It has. I mean, it keeps yelling about heavy metals, and some things come up repeatedly, so it's very helpful. And the thing I think I solved is I had this itchy patch somewhere on my back near my kidney maybe, and it was so persistent and it wouldn't go away, and it got like rashy, and then at one point it started to go away, and it's almost gone now, and I'm thinking I didn't do anything different. So in a roundabout way, I think the Genius did it.
That's awesome. Well, it's a beautiful aura that we're seeing here. It's just lovely, just filled pretty much very like consistent, and just a beautiful pink color, which is very open in the crown chakra area. And there just really isn't a lot of clouds or anything to speak of. Do you balance yourself on a pretty regular basis?
Pretty regular, yes.
Okay, that's awesome. That's wonderful. That's really cool. All right, so let's now go to look at some things here. Let's go through what's called basic process number 1. And let's just go ahead and look at some of the basics for today and see what's coming up. And we're going to do this by going to today's stress. And we're simply going to begin to add the items that are in red and blue to the tray. Anyone can do this. No one needs to be a holistic health practitioner or a doctor in order to do this. Anyone can add reds and blues in order to diminish what are called stress disturbances. But we do see liver, environmental, kidneys, inflammation. So that's really interesting. Lymphatic and immune. Now, we can't come to any hard and fast conclusion about this, but it does give us information. We're starting to look for patterns and starting to think about things in general that might be going on. So then from there, we move to the body systems, and we want to see if there's any. Okay, so that's interesting about the lymphatic. So with lymphatics, how much water do you drink in the course of a day?
Not enough.
Okay, this is such a common experience. We're busy, we forget, and things like that. But that can actually really help to flush out the lymphatic system. And it can actually really help to flush out, of course, the kidneys as well. And that's coming up consistently as well. It's so common for so many of us, liver, kidney, liver, kidney, liver, kidney. And my mentor in naturopathic medicine would teach us to start a drainage protocol, either liver or kidney first. It might be liver, it might be kidney, but it's usually always going to be one or a combination. And these are really important ways that we clear the body of toxins, that we break down a lot of things in the liver that could become really harmful in the body. And of course, the kidneys are a wonderful filtration system of the blood. So they're constantly filtering out any toxins or things that are no longer needed in the body. So if they are not working properly, then toxins can tend to build up in the body more. So it's always good to think and consider these and maybe even do sort of an energetic and / actual detox. Now, of course, for the lymphatics, regular skin brushing, like right before you take a shower, and even castor oil packs can be really helpful for the lymphatic system. Okay, so organs, then we do glands. And so this, again, when we see gonads and ovaries, it could be estrogen and testosterone, a little bit of testosterone for women. And then we look at digestion. So let's go ahead and look at that here. It's just eluding me here. Okay. Right here. So just not seeing it. There we go. Okay, enzymes. That's an interesting one. So that could be very beneficial just in general to overall health, is to start looking into and considering some digestive enzymes. Is that something you've ever considered, Kathy?
Not really. I'm using proteolytic enzymes for in-between meals, to kind of get rid of things that don't belong in the body. So it's not what you mean. You're talking about for when I eat and I don't use it.
Yes, during when you eat food. If you ever feel bloated or you feel like you're not digesting your food, most people over the age of 45 and then 50, the enzymes in our system have depleted so significantly that digestive enzymes are really important. And if you go to any naturopathic event, at the table, there's usually a little bit of hydrochloric acid or some type of betaine HCl that we're all sharing, and then a whole bunch of enzymes that everybody is making sure that they get with their food. So you may want to look into digestive enzymes. All right, so from there, let's look at those meridians that we wanted to look at, and let's look at that, see where the kidney meridian is figuring into this issue. So we see kidney meridian at 501. We see liver meridian is much higher, lung and heart meridian. For this exercise, let's just go ahead and include the kidney meridian. And there are some important points that are coming up. So let's include those. And we can even stop right here and just go to the quick balance timer and just put this on 1 minute. So this is the purpose of dealing with the working on hearing. And then just quick balance the kidney meridian for a minute, because we want to maximize the ability of the kidney meridian in order to maximize the function or the ability to hear. Oh, that sound is really a little bit strange this morning. Let's see if we can turn that down. It's a little crackly for some reason. Okay. And what's a good digestive enzyme? One that I've recommended over the years is Premier Research, just their Premier Digest is a good one. So that's one that you could look at. In the natural health mastery courses, we talked about US enzymes. So that would be another one that you could look into. Any of the naturopathic lines like pure encapsulations, Thorn, those are usually pretty good. And so you could just look into their overall sort of high spectrum, full spectrum digestive enzymes. Okay, so from there, let's go ahead and go to the Nogiers, because we talked about the Nogiers, and in particular, Nogier A. So Nogier A also not really figuring into this, but let's go ahead and see the other ones. Certainly, we've got D and L, which are related to the brain. And we've also got B, and B is related to lungs, thyroid, liver. So we sort of see that pattern emerging again. So that's going to be B. And then E is nervous system, pain reduction, arthritis, calcifications. That's Nogier E. All right, so we have that. Now let's go to the actual libraries themselves related to hearing. Okay, Barbara says, when someone is walking in front of me and talking, I can hear what they're saying, but I can't decode the sounds into words in that situation. What causes that and what libraries are might be helpful? That is, there's so many interesting nervous system and brain issues with regard to interpretation of speech and sound. And there's different things called Wernicke's and aphasia and these different interpretation things. Neurologists love to have so many names for different conditions. I would have to really dig into that. And I don't know it off the top of my head. It's a more neurological specialty, but it's definitely the brain trying to interpret it and sort of hitting a little bit of a speed bump in the interpretation. For you, you could definitely focus on brain anatomy and the vessels. Those would be two key things to do, because those would be the two main areas that would probably be the most helpful. Let's go to the hearing series. And we do have a new one called Radionic Rates for Hearing, which covers a whole bunch of things: the joints of the ossicles, the cochlea, the eardrum. Go down here. Whoa, that's interesting. Look how many have been lighting up here. That's absolutely amazing. So tell us a little bit again about when you first became aware and a little bit more about the hearing issue.
Okay. It was about 2 years ago. In fact, my doctor's appointment was like May 2 years ago. And I guess by that time it had gone on for a few months. And the way it was different from before actually is I had trouble making out some words. You know, it wasn't just like volume. And one ear was worse than the other. I could tell. The reason I really realized it was when I was on the phone. Even the dial tones sounded differently on the two sides. I'm not sure what else.
And do you experience the same thing today?
It's gotten a little bit better. And again, it could be the genius, or I'm not sure. I do experience the same thing, and it's a little bit hard to tell, because let's say if I go to a gathering, it's going to depend on the ambient sounds, the other noises. I do feel a little bit easier at conversations at gatherings, but that's subjective. So the problem is definitely still there.
Okay, we just lost the reflector for a second. So if it looks like something disappeared, just hang on for 1 second here.
Yeah. I have other stuff to share with you, not specifically ear related, but.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. So I used to go to a reflexologist, and she would always say that she felt that my kidneys were out of balance. She was always saying that to me. That's one. Two, I have high blood pressure. That's the only medication I take. And it's also something I'm trying to resolve. And I think that's what comes to mind right now.
I mean, that's interesting about the kidneys, isn't it? Since the connection to the ears.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting here. It says a sphenoid bone misalignment. And that's fascinating because that could, but you don't have ringing in the ears, right?
Right, I don't.
But it's interesting that it came up anyway. There's some people who specialize in this bone. It's a bone right in the middle of the whole head, a cranial bone. And people who do craniosacral therapy, this is a really big place when you have a misalignment. A lot of nervous system issues could be up. So you might want to consider a craniosacral therapist might be able to really help with this issue.
That's great.
And so it says food allergy root cause, a spinal misalignment. Now, this may not really apply, but it's interesting. You know, sometimes it could be from a childhood fall. And isn't that interesting that it comes up here? And so many of us fell or hit our heads as kids, and we just have no memory of it. But that could affect the hearing long term, and it's good to just clear it out.
Wow.
So Rochelle just got her genius. A big congratulations to you, Rochelle. And she has, because she mentioned heavy metals coming up repeatedly, I just read a review of Premier Research the Medibody pack, the mud packs. And an ND told a man with hearing issues to place it behind his ear. His hearing returned. Yeah, that's really good. Those mud packs that are from Premier Research are so profound. And you can pull things energetically and physically with a mud pack. It goes really nicely with the Genius. And a lot of our practitioners do offer both the Genius and mud packing, because mud packing can really up the vibrational status of someone, because the mud will have a pulling effect. And I believe it sort of has an energetic pulling effect as well as a physical pulling effect, meaning that even just built up energy can be cleared in a very, built up negative energy can be cleared in a very positive way with those mud packs. And so it's Premier Research, and they sell these Medibody packs, which is pretty much mud, a very specialized form of mud that they sell. Okay. Excellent comments and ideas and thoughts here. So let's go ahead and see if there's anything else. Let's go ahead and include, as we usually do, our Bach flower essences. So let's go ahead and include those as well. And then let's go ahead and go to our full progressive analysis so we can get a prioritization. It's interesting that it tells us that the Nogier B and A come up. So Nogier B, again, that's more, we actually, I sort of went quickly through this, but one of the Chinese conditions that came up, it's related to hearing, it's a gallbladder fire was an energetic issue that was coming up. So you may want to do a gallbladder liver cleanse or some type of a juicing detox. Take some herbs that can help the gallbladder and liver, like dandelion and burdock are very good for that, as well as, of course, milk thistle, which is good more for the liver. And the reason that dandelion and burdock are good for the gallbladders because they help to increase the flow of bile. And then Cortese organ is one of the organs in the ear, and the eardrum, the vestibulum, the lungs. It's like the Genius wants to do a total upgrade on the whole hearing apparatus based on what's coming up. So do you have a Quanta capsule, Kathy?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so why don't you put the email associated with the Quanta capsule in the chat?
Okay.
And then I can send these to you.
Great.
And what about induction headsets? Good or not? I'm not sure. Induction headsets, I'm not sure what they are. Do you mean bone conduction headphones? All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to send these to her. And let's just let that run for a minute. And let's see if there's any other questions. We don't have too many general genius questions. So any genius questions going on? Rachel says displaced crystals in the ear can cause vertigo, correct? Mm-hmm. That's another thing to consider. All right. And let's see if there's anything else. We've got people are saying maybe a 5G connection. Let's go ahead and do a rescan.
I just remembered something related
Yes.
to my building, and it's a huge building, got smart meters about 3 years ago.
Uh-huh. Did you notice any changes at that time?
No, nothing right away, but I'm just wondering gradually, because somebody mentioned 5G.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
those aren't the same as 5G, but they're definitely, I can understand why you would be concerned about them. So Rock Rose is reactivating the courage to persevere and having more trust in the perfection of the universe, releasing any fear and panic. So that's the number one. Oh, aspen is coming up as well. So aspen is a flower essence that's coming up as well. I mean, I think aspen is also around fear. Let's see. We've got aspen is triumphing over the fear of unknown things and also moving into a place of trust of the universe, in the universe. So that is definitely a theme that came up twice, is just more having faith in the flow of life, and that's something that's related to kidney energy, is wanting to be more in the flow of life. And everything sort of plays off of everything else. But I think drinking more spring water and really devoting yourself to drinking more good quality water. Hey, I'm going to get in my 4 glasses today. If that's like 4 is a lot, and then tomorrow maybe 6. Of course, we always say half of your body weight in ounces, but we're using ounces here. So you could interpret another, I don't know if it works the same in different weight systems, but to simplify, usually about 6 to 8 glasses a day does it, but most people drink so much less. But what that does, interestingly enough, is it really helps the kidneys, because the kidneys really need to have that water to basically to clear a lot of that debris out, a lot of the toxins that are being purified through the kidney filter. So you need to drive that filtration system. You need it not to be dry as a bone. You need to have a lot of the water flow. But it's also metaphysical. As you drink more water, you will feel more in the flow. So there could be definitely an underlying kidney theme and going with the flow of life and all that good stuff. Okay, aldosterone has to do with hearing issues. We actually have that in the hearing panels. So low aldosterone is in hearing assessment. I think people wouldn't know what to do if they had like low aldosterone, except you just have to work on the kidney energy. And that's another thing that people could definitely consider doing, which is when we go back to the libraries, let's just go ahead and peek at just the kidney libraries in general. And let's see, the one I like is sort of the functional one. Let's look at kidney anatomy. So some of the kidney anatomy, what we don't have to know all about the kidney anatomy, sort of did that incorrectly, but we can harmonize it just the same. We want to do a tune-up of that energy by sending frequencies to that particular location. I like these functional assessments. So reduce protein burden, go with the flow of life. Look, you can't make this stuff up. Improve glomerular function, that's the function in the kidneys, and then gaining perfect fluid balance. So if the kidneys are actually off, then we can find that all of a sudden we're like, oh, how did my tummy get so big? And that's actually water weight that we're holding on to, because the kidneys are hanging on for dear life. And so we're actually holding on to a lot of fluid. And so as the kidneys get balanced, we may find there's almost a diuretic effect where all of a sudden we feel like we're weighing so much less, because a lot of that fluid toxic fluid we were holding on to is now able to clear out. So using kidney reserves. So if we see using kidney reserves, that tells us, and we should check the herbs panel here, we want to look for the adaptogens that would be best and get into a habit of maybe committing like maybe a month to a certain adaptogen and really focus on your rhodiola or really focus on your ashwagandha, because you got to build it up. It is a physically creates an ability to be more resilient in the face of stress, but we have to get it. It's like food is medicine. We have to get it into our system. So then perfect renin balance, perfect filtration rate, becoming more flexible, keeping what is needed, kidney function, currently diminished by dietary choices, kidney vascular affected by diet. What this can mean, and it's really tough for us Western folks, is too much salt can damage the vasculature and can affect the kidneys in a negative way. It's part of the reason when they say, oh, if you have high blood pressure, you should reduce salt from your diet. And so they're partially correct. That will make a big difference in blood pressure, is to limit the salt or try to get the salt from and sodium from food rather from the salt shaker. But also something related to that is to diminish the protein burden, and especially the protein burden of meat, fish, dairy, eggs. Those things put a tremendous strain on the kidney. So limiting them, reducing them, meatless Mondays, starting off with something like that can help to really correct this. Okay, so we did have maybe some general questions coming up. And I just really want to be able to see maybe, some of those general questions. So Ellen, when imprinting supplements with the plate, do you place the entire bottle on the plate or do you take out the capsules and tabs? What about liquids? You can put the entire bottle on the plate and just indicate in your entry what is actually on the plate. So Premier Research, Digest, enzymes, really could just do it that way. That's perfectly fine. It's up to you if you want to get really granular and take out an actual capsule. But in my experience, it has been sufficient just to utilize the whole bottle or the whole bottle of liquid. Makes it a little bit easier. So let's look at the herbs panel because we want to look at those. And we also have a new adaptogens panel. Let's actually do that first. Let's look at the adaptogens in particular. Okay, so ashwagandha is coming up for hormonal balance in the immune system. Then we've got goji berries for liver wellness and vision support, and albizia, which is not too well known in the West, to strengthen memory and sleep deeply. It's always interesting to see the combination of remedies that come up for somebody. And then we've got maca is for hormonal wellness, healthy libido, dong shen, and this is also called Cotinopsis, immune support, blood sugar wellness, and finally nettles, lung wellness and kidney wellness. So let's go ahead and let's refresh everything in Progressive Insights and now see what's coming up. The nerve of the eardrum. Wow, the kidneys, the eardrum again, a spinal misalignment, which is interesting because one thing I didn't mention in the lecture is the spinal misalignment could be related to the neck. So cervical spinal misalignment, any TMJ neck issues, that can affect the whole hearing apparatus because of the proximity to the cranial nerves and everything that could be affected from a tight neck. And then rock rose came up again, the glomerulus of the kidneys, which is the filtration point in the kidneys, the ligaments of the hammer, which is where we have that sound vibration, the kidney, the semicircular ducts, the nogiae A, which is related to hearing. This is a pretty good balancing right here. So rock rose, it just comes up as a really important flower essence because it came up twice. Reactivating the courage to persevere and trust in the perfection of the universe. It's also connected in the genius to, you could go to the conception vessel. you could go to the nervous system, the adrenals. And so that's where that is connected. All right. Do you consider fresh vegetable juice part of the daily requirement of water? Well, typically when we say water, we're talking about just water. So I wouldn't necessarily connect that, but I see your point. It's a structured water. It just, we're trying to get the kidneys really, really flowing. So potato, it's not that important. All right. I have pancreas coming up in both red and blue quite often. What could be up with this? I don't have any blood sugar problems. That's a really great question. And let's do one more rescan here. And of course, the pancreas has exocrine and endocrine function. So we have the spleen, reduced protein burden, lungs, perfect fluid balance, kidney 22, the cochlea, ginger compress. That's an interesting thing we didn't talk about. You can look that up and you can do a ginger compress to the ears to sort of tonify them and to bring more circulation to the area, a ginger compress. The pancreas has exocrine and endocrine function. It has endocrine function, blood sugar, and it has exocrine function, enzymatic. When we eat food, there's a whole bunch of enzymes that get released from the pancreas and go through a duct into the small intestine for the purpose of digesting food. And so if pancreas is coming up, it's really super common. And because most of us are very enzyme depleted, if we ate, raw vegetables and fermented foods with every single meal our entire life, then we might not be so enzyme deficient. But because we typically don't eat enough raw fruits and vegetables, never mind just fruits and vegetables in general, or fermented foods like sauerkraut or fermented beets or fermented carrots, all those things can help to restore and bring in more enzymes. But because we don't, we tend to get very enzyme deficient. And so for Trish, it's really about look at some of those really well-rated, full spectrum digestive enzymes, start to have enzymes with every meal. And I think 7 to 10 days, that pancreas won't light up as much. And also you'll feel a lot different. So right now we're going to go ahead and send these to, I know I may have lost that email. We're going to send it to Kathy in her Quanta capsule. I found it. And so we're going to enter in. So what I did here, I just want to show it one more time, is I'm going to tap share right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter her email into the little box here. And it's going to send her all of the ones that we chose for her today, because I chose all. And that'll be fun for her to look at and then review. See if there's any other flower essence that came up. Oh, Star Bethlehem, which is about clearing past shock and emotional trauma, but not a lot of other ones. The other ones that really wanted to emerge, although we do have mustard too, is feeling like there's a little bit of a cloud over you and then getting rid of the cloud, moving into a more positive state of mind. So let's go ahead and check the aura. And Kathy, what are your thoughts about some of the things that have come up here today?
Oh, wow. A few things all over the place. Number one, I should tell you that I live in New York City, and I've been feeling like a sitting duck for the last 2 years.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like I won't even take the subway because it's too crazy. And, it's very restrictive. The other thing is that's really great about knowing about adjustments, because I know of a chiropractor who I understand just kind of goes by feeling the energy. So I'm going to try that, because maybe he'll adjust something related to my ears.
Definitely those upper cervicals could be those up, the neck. The neck is, and especially if we have been at home and we haven't been out as much and things like that, as with watching screens and things like that, the neck is very much affected. So it wouldn't be surprising if he found something.
What you just said is exactly right. Home too much and watching a lot. And the other thing is, really, well, first of all, really helpful to reinforce things like more water, because I have the book knowledge. I know you're supposed to, but it's really good to have this extra motivation. And
oh, that's good. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's an interesting ending aura. There are a few clouds here, so I'm going to run some solfeggios for you. But that often happens when we're in the mix of trying to work things out. And that could be literally like that mustard, like that cloud overhead that's ready to clear out. But you responded very well. And there's a lot of bright, hopeful, heart-centered energy coming into your field as well.
So cool. Thank you so much. And the other thing I would just sort of mention, there was a summit, liver gallbladder clearing summit recently. And usually there's so much information there, you can't watch it all. So this is one of the few I purchased.
It's a totally great one for you to look into. It's so timely. I do think a good gallbladder liver cleanse would definitely just help you to feel more rejuvenated, more grounded, more in your body. I think it would be really, really a great thing to pursue.
Great. Thank you so much. I think this was so helpful in so many ways because you can't do everything first. Now I have my priorities.
I love it. All right. Fantastic. All right, Kathy, thank you so much for being part of our class today.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for the suggestions in chat.
Wonderful. Very good. I just want to show you, as many of you watch on a regular basis, you know this, but what we can do here is take all the solfeggios, all yellow, green, blue, and we'll put them up into the quick zap. And then we can just run that for a couple of minutes, 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And that usually helps to just end on a very nice note for the person who's having the session. If they have any clouds, we're able to sort of do a quick clearing of that. And maybe we get in, work deeper in the next session, but we sort of leave them in a really good place at the end of the session, which is just a really nice thing to do for your client. All right, so just listening to the genius helped with hearing loss. Wow, just listening to the frequencies from John. That's great. Facial herbal steaming can penetrate the ears. That's a good one. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. My husband had a serious bout of vertigo last week and was prescribed meds for dizziness and nausea. Will meds help or diminish any work done with the genius? Well, I always think, one thing you could do is you could create a library with the medication. And my take on it has been that it will actually help the person to derive more positive effects from the medication and clear out any negative effects. So if you have a remedy plate, you could put the medication on the plate and just import it as a library and put it into your genius and then, run it, consider it that way. It's not to give the medication in an energetic way. It's to basically, if possible, clear out any negative effects and get the most positive effects. So vertigo, we do have a vertigo harmonizing library. Let's see, did we just run this for a minute? Let's run it for another minute. And with vertigo, you're looking at the vestibulocochlear nerve, and you're also thinking a lot about viruses. So if there was an underlying virus, working on the immune system, working on the nervous system, working on brain interpretation, brain anatomy, things like that. Those things could be really helpful. Okay. All right, so let's just see what the final aura is here. And thank you again to Kathy for participating today. And let's see if there's any other things in here. When you create a library panel on foods that would nourish you, are the ones that come up in red and blue the ones your body would need more of? Yeah, I think we have something like that. Suzanne says, my child gets travel sick. Yeah, there are homeopathic medicines for travel sickness, I think. I would look for some homeopathic, maybe medicinals for that. My child gets, you'd have to find out what the root cause of that travel sickness is. Is it being in the car that they don't like? Is it that emotionally they don't like leaving home? So Suzanne, you want to think about what the root cause is and then dial it back from there. So it sounds like it might be some emotion, some flower essences, maybe some digestive libraries, because maybe she gets tummy sick. Twisty roads. Well, who doesn't get travel sick on twisty roads, right? But maybe work on the digestive system, the brain for interpretation. So it sounds like actually the ear apparatus may be related. The vestibular nerve may not be very accommodating to the twists and the turns. But going back to Becky's question, she said, if you make a panel, because we have a panel like this, I just wanted to look at the aura first for just really quickly, see if that made a difference of running the solfeggios for just a couple of minutes for Kathy. Let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at that. And then I think we have a nourishing food kind of mini panel to look at. We could talk about the meaning, because you can make a panel for food allergies, or you can make a panel for foods that nourish me. So that looks a little bit better, like a lot of the clouds have gone. So that looks a little better. So let's go ahead and see what we've got here for food. I think there should have been something, foods that nourish me. Okay, here we go. I don't think we have that many. But okay, so kefir, that would be a food that for that person would nourish them. So Becky, the ones that are red and blue for a nourishing food panel, those are the ones that are beneficial. In a food allergy panel, right? Food allergy, there's the ultimate, then these particular foods would not be beneficial. These would be the ones to avoid. Let's see if there's anything else here. Final thoughts here. Okay, and by the way, yes, there's Kathy's mentioning an audio test. There are a number of apps that you can get for free, and it's really interesting. It runs through a pretty thorough test of each ear on your phone. So I don't remember which one it is, but in the App Store, the Google Play Store, you can get free. I think they're free apps that test your hearing, and they're pretty cool. I actually became aware that the air purifiers that I run in my home actually have a pretty high decibel level, and I didn't realize it. And that particular test said it was actually a high decibel level in your surrounding area that's actually interfering with the actual test of your hearing, which was really fascinating. The blue in the beneficial food panel, what does that mean? Reds and blues in a beneficial food panel both mean foods that would be beneficial for you at this time. So just a quick reminder that things are available at our events page. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, you can check out all of our upcoming events at the events page, geniusbiofeedback.com, and then just click on the events page. That is it for today, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathy. We'll see you on Tuesday with Benet, and hope to see you on Thursday for a Miracles Hour and our Energy and Frequency podcast. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.